Well, good evening, everybody. Kevin Crouch here with South Metro Weather. I wanted to go over kind of what we're seeing right now because I know that for some of you in the southern Dallas and southeastern Tarrant County area, you're under a severe thunderstorm warning, so we will cover that. But I know for a lot of our area too, those of you in the core South Metro Weather area, Ellis, Hill, Johnson, and Navarro counties, you're probably wondering, what's the big deal? What's going on? So I wanted to make sure at least to bring an update on what we are seeing. And right now we do have this severe thunderstorm warning that includes parts of our coverage area. Now, if you'll remember, we usually talk about those four counties as our coverage area. However, lately, you've probably heard me say between Dallas, Fort Worth, and Waco. Well, that includes southern parts of Tarrant and Dallas counties. And I know that we have folks in Mansfield, in Cedar Hill, Duncanville, DeSoto, Lancaster, Wilmer, those areas that follow this brand. So I want to make sure that you are included in this. And you do have a severe thunderstorm warning that is in effect until 7:15. So about an hour from now, you're also, part of that area at least, is included in this flash flood warning. There's been a lot of heavy rain that's just been training over this area. You can see that here. Seems like there's just a factory that just keeps this thing going almost right over Mansfield, really. And it continues to just kind of train to the northeast. So all of that area, mostly Dallas County, but far southeastern Tarrant County, and then also up into Rockwall. But again, our coverage area is primarily, mouth was throwing me off. Sorry, that's probably gross, but I want to be able to speak clearly. But this severe thunderstorm warning, includes much of Dallas County. The flash flood warning goes all the way up into northeastern parts of the county, over into Rockwall County as well. This severe thunderstorm warning, it is a baseline warning for 60 mile per hour winds and hail about quarter inch, or about a quarter size, 1 inch in diameter. And so not not one of these more intense or catastrophic warnings that we see sometimes, but that warning is in place. And really, I think the bigger issue here could very well be the flooding. As you know, Dallas is a metropolitan area, and so that means that you're going to have more of that street flooding and those kinds of things. And that flash flood warning, I believe, let me get a time on that, until 8:30 p.m. And so that warning will go on, and it may not necessarily be raining during that time or until that point, but the warnings stay in place a little longer to account for the fact that they take a little time for the rainwaters to settle. Thank you so much, Robert, for the Cash App. Greatly appreciated there. So we'll look area wide, and I really got to look pretty wide here to kind of show the whole picture of what's going on. We got up in North Richland Hills. I appreciate the tune in there. So here's what we have, and really the core of our area, those core four counties, not seeing much right now. In fact, really there's parts of Navarro County that just got rid of a thunderstorm. Central and southern portions of Navarro County have some light rain. Now, I will say there is some development popping up there in Johnson County, and then far, far to our southwest, near Killeen and Gatesville, Lampasas, Burnett, down to Llano. Those areas are seeing some showers and thunderstorms, pretty heavy storms at this point, but they're not making it to the northeast rather, not making it past Gatesville or past Goldthwaite. So, in fact, that one actually looks like that just north of Goldthwaite intensifying. So we'll see what that does. But overall, we're not seeing a whole lot here. Now, the thing is, we're not done. I don't want you to see this and think that somehow we're just suddenly going to not see anything at all. We will have more storms developing. In fact, I'm going to be watching this development over in Hood and Johnson counties here, kind of extends this line farther down. That stationary front, I believe, is still west of us. In fact, if you look, New development north of the Metroplex here from Denton toward Sherman on up to Durant, Oklahoma. That's going to be right along that front. So, in fact, if you take that down, that kind of extends down towards Hood County. So, we could be seeing that stationary front beginning to advance a little bit, and that could be what is igniting some of these new storms. So, the weather models have pushed development all the way into the overnight hours after sunset. So we could very well still have a few hours left in this thing, and that could, as you're seeing here, lead to more storms developing in western parts of our area. So that new little storm popping up near Meridian, little pop-ups there east of Granbury, there near Joshua and Keene as well. So we've got more to go. And it's hard to say whether one place or another will see rain. It really depends on where these things develop, where they move on from there. And we also have more chances of storms in the forecast. I mean, we go into tomorrow, Thursday, we should be mostly storm-free. And then we go into Friday, more storms possible there. Looks like the higher severe weather risk will probably stay to our north on Friday. And then getting into Tuesday, more storms are possible. Looks like we might have a break after that, but we are starting off meteorological spring in true north central Texas fashion here with a much more active period than we've had in quite a while. So we're going to continue to watch all of this development to the west. You can see, well, there's that severe thunderstorm warning for that storm north of Goldthwaite. So we're starting to see a little more life being breathed into some of this activity, and I'm very curious to see what this does. I hope the audio sounds good as well. I actually found out that this microphone, I was able to finally spend some time and really get into how this thing is set up and how some of the settings were fixed up. And I was able to get it to where it sounds a lot better. And it's funny, I was talking to somebody earlier and they said, I didn't notice how weird or bad it sounded until I listened to it with the correct settings and the correct adjustments. So the thing is, when you're doing some of this stuff, man, it's really tough to find the right balance, because I mean, you can be looking at 5, 6, 7, 8 different settings, and you got to find that perfect little middle ground with all of them. So I'm glad that things look good. Also, you'll notice over in the far corner, the upper left corner of the screen, we have that timestamp now. Now that's showing military time. I'm going to try to figure out, I wonder how I can, wonder how we can fix that. I'll see if we can fix that, because I don't necessarily want military time. I doubt everybody can read that. Sometimes I can't even get that as quickly. It's just the regular time. But I wanted to make sure we had that so that when this posts in 3 or 4 days, as Facebook is so well known to do, that it's a little more clear of when this actually occurred versus when you actually see it. So one thing I want to do, let's take a look at the cyclone port camera there in Glen Heights, see what that is looking at, kind of get a picture. So here you can see that severe storm in, this is going to be looking at southern Tarrant County. And my goodness, just look at that cloud there. And I don't believe, let's take a quick look here. That is probably going to be let's see, that's probably, I don't really think I see rotation there necessarily, but I think that's probably going to be more of a kind of a shelf cloud formation there. But you can see plenty of rain fell in Glen Heights here, and this has been a great view here. But you can see some of the lowering clouds here. Again, I don't think that's rotation if you're seeing that. It's, I think that's going to be, that's kind of on the edge of the storm there. And obviously you can see the rain to the back of it. And then, so there's some lightning there too. So things are dry right now in Glen Heights, at least from what I can tell. At least it's not very heavy rain in that area. Just north of there, though, is where you are looking at that rain. But you are included in that severe thunderstorm warning. This particular storm, if we look at the vertically integrated liquid, we do have, man, this thing is bit sensitive today. The computers have been acting all kinds of weird today, but you can see there near Cedar Hill, Joe Pool Lake, up towards the Westchester Valley area. That's where you have some of that hail. That's going to be that hail core. That's going to be moving on to the northeast. So headed towards Duncanville, towards the Executive Airport, up that way towards 67. And so that's going to be something worth watching over the next several minutes here as that continues to move on to the northeast. And that's going to be one of those higher risks in that storm. You see all that gray, that is going to be those hailstones that are an inch or more in diameter. So that is one of those criteria that triggers those severe thunderstorm warnings. So just keep in mind that the heaviest part of this storm here, in fact, that vertically integrated liquid is usually a little bit behind. So it looks like the hail is probably just on the north side of Cedar Hill there. Going to continue on towards Duncanville, probably track north of DeSoto there, and then move on up into really south central Dallas County. Looks like it'll probably stay north of Lancaster, Wilmer, and may track towards the Hutchins area and eventually on towards Balch Springs. But it will kind of follow that track. You see the polygon there of that severe thunderstorm warning where that is going. Not seeing rotation in DeSoto. Frankie, not sure what prompted that question, but I'm not seeing any kind of rotation there. Again, if you're seeing some of these lower clouds, I don't expect those to be anything that we're looking at in terms of rotation or anything like that. But we are definitely looking at some lower clouds that are just kind of on the edge of that storm. Going to be probably on the leading edge of it, which shows where some of those winds are as well. I just want to check in on something. Try to send a message over here. Check in with some folks in southern Dallas County. Yeah, so this lowering here, that's where you can see that is kind of detached. So that's fortunately I don't see any kind of reason to believe there's any rotation with this. This is going to be a large hail, strong wind situation. And in fact, if you look at this rain, kind of this rain sheet, you can see where it kind of extends forward there. That's going to be where you have some of those stronger winds associated with that storm. So we'll get back to the radar here. Here's that severe storm that prompted that warning. Again, that warning continues on until, let's see, that's going to be until 7:15. We've been watching some development here in western parts of our area, so near Alvarado now. Just a small cell here, nothing intense, nothing severe, but we are looking at just a couple of things worth paying attention to as we go through the rest of the evening, because as we zoom this out, you can see farther north from Denton up towards Sherman, we have this line of storms. And then that continues on. I presume that is the stationary front. And then as we go farther down southwest of Hamilton, another severe storm there towards the Goldthwaite area, just to the northeast of there. And we will watch to see if any of that activity can make its way here. And then we also have this storm just north of Meridian. And now you see it's filling in even more. So near Glenrose. Nothing in Granbury. I saw that question. Excuse me. I saw that question. Nothing really happening in Granbury right now. There is one little cell east of you, but not. That's not really anything that I'm paying too close attention to. And then down towards Goldthwaite, that storm, but you can see the space beginning to fill in between the severe storm in southern Dallas County and then that severe storm near Goldthwaite. In between there, we're starting to see new development here. So this could be that stationary front continuing to kind of ease its way eastward and could be moving into more unstable air and now popping up some of those additional storms. So again, it's hard to say exactly where the storms are expected to occur. At this point, what we're going to be watching more closely is where the storms pop up and then which way they go. Now, if you have a storm that develops to your southwest, odds are it's going to be headed your direction. But it's hard to say, hey, one place or the other. It's hard to say in too much detail exactly where that's going to move. It's hard to know ahead of time, at least, before we actually see the storm pop up and then start to move from there. So I'm watching on the other screen this cyclone port camera, and they're in Glen Heights. Um, Man, the clouds look ominous, but again, the good news is I'm not seeing rotation with that storm, but we are definitely looking at those lowering clouds with those gusty winds that sometimes will create some of that motion and that sort of thing. Let's see here. Sunny asking about in Rio. Are you talking about Rio Vista? Um, if so, I'm not sure. We're kind of waiting to see how this activity that's filling in between these two severe storms is going to act. Ruth, you're saying just coming in, but this is going to stay west and east of North Fort Worth. Um, Almost every direction listed in that question. So, North Fort Worth, I would say, is less likely to have activity in the near term, but we kind of have to wait and see what happens with this new development. Yes, definitely looking at heavier precipitation right now in the Cedar Hill area. I mean, you're probably looking at some small hail in that area. Again, that's where we have the overlapping severe thunderstorm warning and flash flood warning, and there's been heavy rain in the Cedar Hill area for a while now. So as we zoom this out again, and now we've seen some new development in Ellis County. So here we're starting to watch things get more active across our area. Um, there hasn't been much going on across most of the core four counties of the South Metro weather area, but now we're starting to see some more activity developing, especially west of our area. You see these new little cells there in Hill County, some in Johnson County, Hood and Somerville, over in Erath County now. So all of these areas starting to see new development. Now, whether or not those will intensify, we have to kind of wait and see. This little cell near Alvarado wanted to do something, but it kind of didn't really get there. So we will be monitoring this closely over the next several minutes as we watch the potential, at least, for more storms tonight. That severe thunderstorm watch is, in fact, I'll get that pulled up here just so we can see that. Just for the sake of visualizing that. That severe thunderstorm watch includes Hood and Somerville, Johnson, Ellis, Kaufman counties, Dallas and Tarrant on north and east. So that's going to be where we get most of our severe weather, at least in the near term. So as this activity farther to the southwest comes together and continues to develop, they may expand or extend that severe thunderstorm watch. But for now, that watch only includes, again, Glen Rose, Granbury, Cleburne, Waxahachie areas, and then farther northeast. All right, let me change some volume here so you're not hearing all those dings in the background. We get to some questions here. Missy, you're asking about the Arlington Grand Prairie area. Right now, most of the activity is going to be east of there, but there are some storms still impacting that area right now. Cody, you're asking, why do the clouds look layered, going different directions, downtown Midlothian? It's hard to know what you're talking about without seeing it. So, Cody, if you want to send a picture or possibly a video, then I can probably get a better idea of what you're talking about. Um, I can tell you that there is shear in the atmosphere. So winds are moving at different directions at different heights in the atmosphere. So that may be part of what you're talking about. But also, if you have some of these gusty winds that are associated with these storms, sometimes you're going to get some of those winds that are. Blowing out of the storm, so it'll be blowing some clouds away from the storm while the whole storm itself is moving the other way, and so that's kind of what we're looking at. Nathan asking about a tornado threat. I mean, a tornado threat is low tonight, and then Friday, Saturday, that's way ahead of what we're looking at. But I mean, there's a low tornado threat probably Friday as well. But we gotta get past tonight's event before we get too invested in those storms. Christian, no rotation that I've seen in Cedar Hill. I can tell you right now that you're seeing the greens and reds that are together here, but that looks to me like that may very well be a downburst. So I think that's downward moving winds. And the reason I say that is we actually can take a look. Let's go back to the cyclone port here, and this will be a good way to kind of visualize this. You can see these outward moving winds because of the way that this, you see this kind of slant to the rain there. So that's what you're looking at. Those winds are going down and out of the storm. So when you have those downbursts like we had this time last year in Ellis County, unfortunately, a lot of people do not like that, but you have these winds that move down out of the storm, and like pouring water out of a pail onto concrete, it's got to go somewhere, so it's going to go out. So that's why you see this downward movement and then kind of spreading out from the storm. So you see the red and green next to each other, and if you're looking at that, worried about rotation, it's not rotating, it's moving out. And what the way that this works is red is moving away from the radar and green is towards it. Well, you see the radar is here, so if you follow that line right there, winds are moving away from it here and kind of towards it. That's how it's reading it there. So that's how it's interpreting those winds, but that's where you can see the winds moving out from the storm. So that's what you're looking at. You can also see some of these lower clouds here. We call those scud. That's just little low clouds that form with the evaporation there below the cloud base. But that's probably what you're looking at. So you have some winds that are moving out from the storm, but the storm itself is moving northeast. So I think in the Midlothian area, that might be part of why you're seeing some of those differing cloud directions and wind directions and those kinds of things. Mike asking about Saturday. Not seeing a severe weather threat at this point for Saturday. There may still be some, lightning and thunder affiliated with those storms, but it does not look like we're dealing with much of a severe weather event for Saturday at this point. So we'll get back to the radar here, and again, we'll show just the velocity view. This is the storm we've been paying attention to, and I'll broaden that out. Samantha, nothing happening in Milford right now. But we'll broaden this out, not only to show you that storm in, let's get that cyclone port off the thing there, the storm in southern Dallas County that prompted that severe thunderstorm warning. We've been looking at those increased winds there, so don't be surprised in that storm if winds are picking up right now. And they may be 50, 60 mile per hour winds. That's baseline for this severe thunderstorm. But there's definitely some strong winds that are influencing that storm there that prompted that warning. And then farther to the southwest, between Goldthwaite, Hamilton, and Comanche here, right where those three counties meet, you have this other storm that prompted another severe thunderstorm warning. And then now we're seeing this new development off to the west, one near Glenrose. You got a couple of those near Cleburne and Hillsborough and Meridian there, one in Erath County as well. So we're starting to see some of these empty spaces fill in with storms. And if you watch the models from earlier today, they kept new storm development going after sunset. So we are actually very close to sunset, probably about 15 minutes away from sunset right now. I am waiting to see. I'm expecting to see winds picking up. Ooh, there's a good lightning strike there. Waiting to see those winds picking up in Glen Heights because those are going to be moving out from that downburst there. So if you're in the Glen Heights area, and it doesn't look like winds are terribly strong at the moment. Looks like winds are pretty calm in Glen Heights right now, but I don't expect that to stay that way. But we'll keep checking that camera in that area. Venus isn't really getting much right now. It's all kind of north of there, so not really much happening in Venus right now. And here's the thing: you gotta know where you're at on the map in order to really follow this stuff. So I know there's a lot of people asking what's happening here or there. You gotta know where you're at on that map. Once you do, you can see where these storms are in relation to that area. I know somebody's asking about border Grand Prairie, Arlington off 360. I mean, you can see that most of that activity is east of you, but there are still some storms in the area. Ashland, how long is it going to last in Joe Pole Lake area? Well, unfortunately, you still have some heavy rain moving in. So it's hard to say because we've had these training storms there and there's more activity behind it. So hang tight at the Joe Pole Lake area. There's more storms that are going to be imminent in that particular area. Okay, somebody saying husband is driving home from work. He's on I-20 in Duncanville, heavy rain and hail. So yeah, that's what we've been watching there in southern Dallas County. And that's part of what prompted that warning is that we have been watching that hail threat on, and right now it's being reported on I-20 through Duncanville, and that's consistent. Where you see some of that pink, that's generally where that hail core is going to be. But again, off to the southwest, we are looking at more of those storms. And then we have that severe thunderstorm to the west of Hamilton. That one moving north-northeast at this point. Is Italy going to get anything bad? Again, it's hard to say. These areas that are farther east, it's very hard to give a forecast in those areas because the storms haven't gotten close to there yet. This is one of those where we're kind of waiting to see what happens with all of this new activity. Once we see how it organizes, which way it goes, that's going to give us a better idea of what to expect. Not much happening in Midlothian here. If you look at Midlothian on the map, you can see that there's maybe some lighter rain there, but everything's to the north of there. Alvaro, as far as, Rice, nothing imminent in Rice right now. So not really an ETA there at that point. Now we can look in parts of, let's look at the cyclone port camera here again in Glen Heights. This is giving us a good look at this storm. And what you're seeing here, again, you're seeing all these rugged clouds here. This is that rain-free base, but you can see back to the west where that heavy rain is, and that's headed your direction. So yes, hearing that Glen Heights is starting to get those stronger winds. So that all those stronger winds, that's what we've been looking at. You see these where this rain is coming down and then out, and that's where those strong winds are beginning to spread outward. You're going to start getting those gusty winds out of that storm, and then moving forward from there. A question on YouTube, at sunset, do the storms weaken? Probably not tonight. I don't expect that to be the case this evening. We still have that stationary front in place that's providing that lift. So I don't think that sunset is going to be what, immediately kills these things off. I think we'll still be dealing with that. But definitely still looking at plenty of lightning in this storm. Man, I mean, just looking at this camera, you can see the frequent lightning there. So there's frequent lightning. There's a lot of activity with this storm. The camera's starting to shake, so we are looking at intensifying winds here for sure. Oh yeah, here we go. Okay, looking at this camera in Glen Heights. This is just on the southern side of that storm, but headed that direction now. We do have those gustier winds. Yeah, we have a downburst that is just west of Glen Heights. So, hold on. Let's show you this. I'm going to put the camera in the corner here, but moving right towards the Glen Heights area and northern parts of Red Oak as well. So northern parts of Ellis County, you're going to feel this too. You can see this camera That is where we have these a lot of lightning, some very heavy rain about to move in. And in fact, on the velocity view here, let's take a quick look here. The velocity view, you can see that bright red. That's those stronger winds that we're now seeing in that area. And again, if we look at the camera here, my word, check this out. You can see, let's just kind of keep it here for the moment. Yeah, Ovilla, Red Oak area, you're going to be getting these winds too and these lower clouds, but you can see this heavier rain and these gusty winds beginning to overtake the neighborhood there right next to the Glen Heights Community Center. So we're watching live as this storm rolls into that area, and the camera is going to continue to shake there as those downburst winds take over. And really, yeah, there we go, right on time. Those very gusty winds in that area. I want to assure you that although we are looking at strong winds in this area, we are not looking at and here comes that rain, we are not looking at a tornado situation. I'm not seeing rotation at this point, but I am seeing strong straight line winds. So that is an important that's an important differentiation here. What we're looking at, and this has been evidenced by some of the behavior of the rain that we've been watching, is those winds. And again, Alice County can tell you all about these, but those winds that move straight down and then out. It's like pouring water out of a bucket onto a solid surface. It's got to go somewhere. And so that's where it starts to move outward. The National Weather Service now putting out, the Storm Prediction Center rather, putting out word that now that they're reevaluating the severe weather threat in this area, I suspect they may expand that severe thunderstorm watch. But you can see this camera here, this Glen Heights Cyclone Port camera, where very clear picture of the situation. You can watch this. Look at this surf. Look at the rain, the way it is blowing past this light onto the ground there. This is those straight line winds that we are monitoring with this storm. And I want to kind of move this to the side, the red here that you're seeing. And I know that we're looking at some of the red and green next to each other there. We will monitor that, but you can see that's where we have, let's get that right over here. So we're going to keep that camera in the corner here. And those straight line winds, those intensified winds right there from DeSoto on towards the Glen Heights area. And that little dot there, that's that cyclone port. So that's the Glen Heights area. That's how we can kind of see where that is in relation. But those stronger winds going to be moving right through Glen Heights, going to be moving right through the Oak Leaf and Red Oak and Ovilla areas here. You may even start to feel it in northern parts of Waxahachie, but we had that downburst and those winds moving out from the storm. Again, you can see that camera continuing to shake. So very heavy rain, strong winds at this point. Austin, yes, the storm itself, and I'll put this back up where you can kind of see the relation to it. Where the winds are, those are extending now outside of the storm itself. You can see Cedar Hill, DeSoto, Duncanville, Glen Heights now getting this heavier activity, but the winds are now extending outside of the storm. So I do expect the storm itself to stay north of Waxahachie, but you may still get some of those winds, which is what we're looking at right here. Now this is looking to the west, kind of the west-southwest here. So we're not going to see anything north of that area on the camera. I don't believe that we can see some of the red and green here. I haven't seen anything that immediately has me concerned about rotation at this point. I do still think we're looking at predominantly straight line winds here, but just look at how that camera is shaking. My word. Let's just get that full screen again so we can continue to take a better look at this. Again, this is the Cyclone Port camera. Getting a report of a wall cloud in Midlothian, I think you're probably looking at a shelf cloud. Sometimes they can look fairly similar just in shape, but what makes a difference is the motion. and I didn't see any kind of rotation in Midlothian out of this storm. Mike asking if that means the storm is collapsing. Not necessarily. You can have downbursts, microbursts that happen because the storm is collapsing, but I don't think that's the case here. This storm seems fairly energetic at this point. So I don't think we are looking at a collapsing storm at this time. Jill, this storm is well far away from Ennis. There's nothing headed to Ennis at this point. Um, yeah, nothing moving towards Ennis right now. This is Dallas County that we're talking about. But this camera again, they're at the community center and City Hall. They're in Glen Heights. Very heavy rain, very gusty winds moving through with that downburst. You are in a severe thunderstorm warning. So but let's take a look. I don't know if we're seeing. Let me take a look at the winds here. Okay, so the wind gusts that we're looking at, looks like winds may be starting to calm there a little bit. The heaviest, the strongest winds we've seen today are from about 50 to 60 miles per hour. It looks like about 5 minutes ago there was a 60-mile-per-hour wind gust when this initially started, 53 miles per hour. But the winds are starting to come down here, so I think the first part of that rush of those straight line winds may be passing here, but I do see where it did record a 60.5-mile-per-hour wind gust, so that does get just into that severe thunderstorm criteria. Michaela, you're asking about the Whitney area, and right now, and I've got radar on another screen here so I can take a look. Nothing really happening in Whitney right now, nothing really headed that direction at this point, but we will have to watch as we have more of those storms that are developing to the southwest, but nothing is headed there anytime soon. It will be probably quite a while, unless we have a new storm that heads that direction, but I don't see that being the case right now. And another report of so rising scud into the mesocyclone, lower base wall cloud near Ovilla and Glen Heights. Okay, we're getting more reports of a wall cloud here. I'm going to caution on that because again, I'm not seeing rotation, but what we are seeing again is those straight line winds. So what you get is not a wall cloud, it is a shelf cloud. It is a lowering, but a wall cloud exclusively rotates. That's the difference. That is not that would not be rotating according to what I'm seeing here. But plenty of evidence that you would have a lowering of clouds that is going to bring those gusty winds, and that would have some of that updraft along with it as well. So not seeing evidence of a wall cloud here, but definitely seeing plenty of evidence of a shelf cloud moving forward. So the Burleson area, nothing headed that direction right now. Not really concerned with that. Looks like that severe thunderstorm warning down near the Comanche Gustine area has been canceled. Presumably that storm is likely weakening. Amber, nothing headed to Gun Barrel City right now. Everything is kind of cleared out of there. And Alyssa, Avalon, nothing headed there either. So I'm going to keep this camera up from Glen Heights so we can kind of keep an eye on the activity there. But we'll go back to the radar and kind of zoom this out a little bit. Here's that storm that just moved through the Glen Heights area. We'll take a closer look there just for a moment. And you can see where there's not rain moving into Waxahachie, but you're still going to get some of those winds. And somebody on X was reporting a wall cloud in the Ovilla area. I don't see evidence of a wall cloud there. It's a shelf cloud. There's a very important distinction there. That's why you got to get trained on this stuff. If you're going to report that, you got to know the difference. Wall clouds rotate, shelf clouds move forward in one direction and are affiliated with those straight line winds. That's what you're seeing in the Ovilla area. It's those winds that are moving out of this storm where a downburst occurred in southern Dallas County. That's what moved through Glen Heights a few minutes ago, where we saw those very gusty winds, those 50 to 60 mile per hour wind gusts that moved through that area. Princess, I mean, we haven't really talked about tomorrow morning, but no, not expecting anything tomorrow morning in Ennis. But we can see farther west here, and one just outside of Waxahachie as well, that we're starting to see new development here. You can see that storm south of Stephenville picking up steam. This storm down near the Gustine Hamilton area, that is it shows a weakening trend, so that severe thunderstorm warning was allowed to expire. But it still packs a bit of a punch there. Lots of lightning with that storm, too. The only severe thunderstorm warning we have right now, really the only warning in place, is here in the Dallas area. So, Dallas County, I suspect that southeastern Tarrant County will probably be released from that warning. It only has about 20 or so minutes left of that warning. So, we just had those strong straight line winds move through the Glen Heights area. We watched that live on that Cyclone Port camera. And then area wide here, we have more development. So we are not done. We are not done yet with this activity. And I suspect that we will likely be looking at more development going forward as we continue to see this space that is filling in. And just like that, boom, like clockwork, we see this warning that is trimmed. I like when these things cooperate, right? We see that warning trimmed back, releasing southeastern Tarrant County, also releasing of the Joe Pool Lake area as this storm continues to move eastward. There's those winds that we were looking at, and I know some of you probably see that curvature here. So I'm not at this point seeing rotation there. That's more of those straight line winds. Now, sometimes one can evolve into the other, but I'm not concerned about rotation at this point. But broadening this out once again, somebody said the weather is either a drought or it's violent. It can't be a steady pre-spring rain. Well, it's not pre-spring. I mean, we're in the full throes of spring here, but yeah, I joke about that all the time. Either the sky is falling down or you got nothing happening. That seems to be the pattern in spring in north central Texas. That's just, part of it. But hey, as my friend Dan Brunoff says, what is the saying? He's probably going to text me here in a second and correct me. But I think he says, hope you love your weather. It's the only weather you've got. And that's true. I mean, we live here, we put up with it. And Christine, you're saying they're reporting a possible tornado in Red Oak. I don't know who they are. You're going to have to clarify who they are. I don't know who they are. And I get that a lot where somebody is saying something. Well, if that's not a reputable source, then that's not information we can use. But I am not seeing any kind of evidence of a tornado in Red Oak. Strong winds for sure, but strong winds a tornado does not make. There's a lot more that has to go into that. But does look like Red Oak is having some strong winds. So let's take a look at that here. This is where we've been watching these strong winds. In fact, you look at the camera here, and this is where we've been looking at these gusty winds. And it looks like Glen Heights is getting some more gusty winds here on the back side of this. So, yeah, the strong winds there. But yes, very gusty winds in the Red Oak area. So those are going to be straight line winds here. You see the red and the green, but we've been monitoring this and I'm not seeing rotation at this point. I'm just seeing straight line winds. Misty, you're asking about, is it going to slow down in Duncanville soon? Well, unfortunately, you got more rain behind this. So that's why they had that flash flood warning in place. In fact, the flash flood warning is still in place. That goes until 8:30. So that is appropriately in place right now. But no tornadoes in Red Oak right now. So I'm seeing that. Let me look at this. So I'm hearing that North Texas Weather Center is reporting a possible tornado. Okay. North Texas Weather Center is reporting a possible tornado near Red Oak. So he's looking at a traffic camera here with a possible lowering, but oh my word! I will tell you, the last time that there was a report from North Texas Weather Center in this area, he was reporting from a restaurant in Virginia. So I don't know where he is right now or what information he's getting there. But it looks like a picture from a tower cam or a traffic camera right there. And it looks like it's probably when those strong winds, well, it says 4 minutes ago. Let me try to see the time on this. $18.43. So that would have been, let's see. Okay. That would have been here. And that would have been looking northeast. So realistically, that would have been looking right at the Glen Heights area. I really don't think. Yeah, no, I don't think we saw a tornado in Red Oak. He's going off of a traffic camera picture here, a still image, and I mean you got to be careful with that stuff because it's really hard to confirm anything with just a single image from a TxDOT camera. So I am not hearing anything about. Not seeing anything that would confirm a tornado for me. So yeah, I got heavy doubts there. So if you see that, put that aside. I think that's I don't know. I've got my doubts there. But if we look at that camera in Glen Heights, definitely, plenty of strong winds there. There's some heavy rain right now. But that heavy rain will start to subside there in the Glen Heights area, but there's more developing here. So still plenty of lightning, plenty of strong winds there. And we will go back to the reflectivity because we've got more going on here to talk about. This storm near Stephenville definitely picking up steam, and it's part of this pattern that we've been watching where we have more development here to the southwest. Taylor, you see a dark funnel northeast of you on Kaufman County side. Um, I don't see anything that would facilitate a funnel cloud there. Here's the thing, folks. Clouds are going to make all kinds of there's a kind of a business term for it or a shop talk term, SLC, scary looking clouds. The thing about these storms is you have to couple the clouds with the motion. That is what will give you your whether that cloud that looks like a funnel is an actual funnel cloud or a developing tornado, right? And without seeing that motion, it's real hard for me to know what to point to and what to take as concerning there. As far as that South Dallas situation, there might be some broad rotation with that developing with those straight line winds. Now that we're but it's right in line with the radar too. So the inbound outbound is sometimes kind of deceiving with that. But I definitely haven't seen anything that would have facilitated a funnel cloud like what he's got in that picture. So I'm definitely very skeptical of anything like that. But when you have strong straight line winds like this, it can make those clouds go crazy. It can make them do all kinds of stuff. But that doesn't often mean that it has the structural support to actually facilitate a tornado or something like that. So there's so much more to it. And I know that a lot of folks, as soon as you get gusty winds, you immediately assume it's a tornado. But straight line winds are so often underestimated. So you have to make sure you keep that in mind as well. So I want to make sure I'm watching that post. Let me see here. Let me send that along to somebody. So I'm looking at, okay, so the Storm Prediction Center keeping that risk of severe weather in place, that slight risk of severe weather, they're keeping that where it is. So we still have that slight risk of severe weather overall. I'm sure they too are watching this continued development of all of this new activity from Johnson County down into parts of Somervell County, Erath County, and we got that new storm that prompted the severe thunderstorm warning earlier. So yeah, I'm sorry, I'm getting a lot of messages here. trying to keep up with all the chatter, right? Lots going on and more to come. So we'll continue to monitor this storm in southern Dallas County. That severe thunderstorm warning continues for about another 12 minutes here. And I want to take a look at a couple of things. First, we'll look at those winds again. And we might be seeing some broad rotation here that may have come out of those strong winds. But again, I mean, it's right there on the line of the radar here. So that's sometimes, again, that can be kind of deceiving when you're looking at it. So I'm very hesitant to throw up any alarms there. Of course, some social media pages, that's all they do is throw up the alarm so that you'll be scared to death and share it, right? But we now have this area. This is a flash flood warning that has just been popped up with it. It's actually within the warning. So this is going to be one of these new, kind of these newer ones. Anna, I think you're getting way ahead of me here. Not talking about any rotation or hail in Johnson County. We're not there. Okay, so we have this flash flood warning that includes parts of southern Dallas, really southwestern Dallas County. Damage threat considerable, and that is emergency management reported. So here's where we have one of these. When you really kind of have a tell here. When you notice this flash flood warning is within, yeah, we saw the possible tornado report in Red Oak, and I don't think that's I don't think that's accurate. But when you have this flash flood warning inside of an existing one, that is a step up, and that's kind of your tell. And we had this damage threat considerable here, and report of flash flooding. It's life-threatening flash flooding now, reported by emergency management there in Dallas County. And that is observed flash flood here. So you read that. Expected impacts, life-threatening flash flood of creeks and streams, urban areas, highways, and streets and underpass. So this is a reason you want to make sure you have weather call. And I haven't talked about this much, but I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it. But when you have weather call, it will call your phone when warnings like this are issued. And so I believe with flash flood warnings, you get a text message, but you're still going to be aware. And if it's a severe thunderstorm warning, flash flood emergency, or a tornado warning, or I think a high wind warning, something like that, extreme wind warning, you're going to get a phone call from me. It's going to be my voice, so you know that it's me and not just some system somewhere, letting you know that that warning is in place. So we are looking at a flash flood warning here that has considerable damage. Possible. That's going to be Cedar Hill, Duncanville, and DeSoto. Now, these are areas where we've had a lot of heavy rain just tracking over and over and over again. And I am watching this storm. Of course, we're seeing that hook now near the Lancaster area, so I will be watching that more closely. That's where we're starting to possibly see those winds starting to come back around. And as that happens, sometimes those straight line winds can start to kind of curve around. And then this could be our entrance of some inflow. So I am watching for rotation on this storm now. I don't think there's any reason to have seen anything like that in the Red Oak area, or really what you're looking at is north of Red Oak. So it'd be southern Dallas County. There was a picture shared on social media that claimed to be a developing tornado. I don't think that was accurate. I think what you're looking at in the picture, again, it's a text camera, and sometimes those can be hard to tell exactly what you're looking at, especially when it's a still image. If I'm not seeing motion, it's hard for me to see what's going on. But we are starting to see more of that curvature there, so we'll be paying attention to that. But really, the greater concern here at the moment is going to be this flash flood warning and it's a limited area. Cedar Hill, DeSoto, Duncanville area, right there, the best southwest area. That's where I'm mostly concerned right now, because emergency management has reported, again, this is there's a lot of places listed here, but Cedar Hill State Park, Joe Pool Lake, Duncanville, DeSoto, and over into really close to the Dallas VA Medical Center there. So that's going to be an area of particular concern here for the flooding. Emergency management has actually witnessed okay, Chris, just send the email, send those messages to the page. Just send directly to the South Metro Weather Facebook page, and I'll try to pull those from there. But we are looking at this storm in southern Dallas County. This is the one that still has a severe thunderstorm warning with it. That is expected to go out in the next 7 minutes, so we'll see what they do there. Okay, so I'm going back through a few messages that I've received from some folks. Okay. Yeah, looks like there was definitely a lowering in southern Dallas County. But again, as we discussed, I think that was more affiliated with those straight line winds. I think it was forming yeah, I'm seeing that in motion now. And yeah, that looks like that's a straight line wind motivated shelf cloud, I think, there. Now, what I'm looking at in the Lancaster-Wilmer area, I am watching for rotation there. So at this point, at 7:09, it's almost 7:10, I am watching for rotation. Well, Sonny, I keep repeating myself because I'm being asked the same questions. A lot of people still talking about that picture from social media of a possible funnel cloud and red oak. I'm trying to make sure everybody is clear on that situation. The flash flood warning we are looking at just 1 second here. Okay. So I just want to make sure that yes, Robin, I got the picture and I responded there. So in the chat, I'm going to ask a favor of you. If anybody else asks about that red oak tornado picture, just let them know, hey, it doesn't look like that happened. So I think we're good to go there. But just as a recap, I know we've got a lot of people that are joining the chat here, joining the stream. Let me put this into motion. Right now, the bulk of the activity, the most intense activity right now, is in southern Dallas County. We're watching a few things. We are watching a supercell there. There was a picture, and it's still going around. There's a picture. I apologize for my son screaming, but there is a picture going around from the Red Oak area, probably southern Dallas County, really, of a possible developing tornado that supposedly happened there. We looked back at that, and I'm not thinking that's what we saw. I think what it was is just a weird angle on a shelf cloud associated with straight line winds. So I'm not thinking that. That was reported by North Texas Weather Center. That is run by Max Velocity. He's, I believe, over in Florida at this point. It's his other page. So he has the Max Velocity page, and then he has the North Texas Weather Center page, which I think is where he started. And then he carried on and created the Max Velocity brand off of that, and now covers the whole country. But it's a picture from a TxDOT camera looking at a lightning flash, and it's just one still image, so it's hard to tell. We are looking at more development farther southwest, excuse me. One strong storm south of Cleburne, definitely picking up steam. You can see more of that activity down all the way towards Comanche. But southern Dallas County, I want to pay close attention to this. We have a new severe thunderstorm warning here, and I'm expecting to see, well, if I can get it to cooperate here. Okay. All right. So ping pong sized hail and 65-mile-per-hour winds. Yeah, so this is going to be for northern Ellis County, so the Ferris area, Lancaster, Wilmer, Hutchins, Balch Springs. So this is going to be really the southeastern quadrant of Dallas County, far northern, I would say north and northwestern, northeastern Dallas. I've got to slow down. You can tell I'm out of practice, right? The southeastern quadrant of Dallas County, northeastern Ellis County, western Kaufman County. There we go. There's our rundown. So this storm, though, you can see this nice little hook feature here. There was a picture that circulated social media that's still going around. I'm sure I'm going to be asked about it for the next 3 days, of a cloud in a lightning strike on a TxDOT camera. I mean, just the broadest, most unclear thing ever. That North Texas Weather Center was reporting as a possible tornado in the Red Oak area. Did not see any evidence of that. Did see plenty of evidence of shelf clouds. You catch that in the right lightning strike, looks a little odd. I think that's what we were seeing. Other pictures have substantiated that. We also have a flash flood warning for parts of Dallas County, Cedar Hill, Duncanville, DeSoto area over towards Hutchins. This was reported by emergency management. Considerable damage possible. This was observed by emergency management. So this is a increased threat of flash flooding, very dangerous flash flooding there in southern and southwestern Dallas County. So this storm right now, this supercell here, I want to show you a few features. You've got your hook. You've got your kind of split here. Very telltale signs of a supercell in southern Dallas County. I am looking at some rotation with that, and it has been pretty persistent here. It looks like this rotation was born out of those straight line winds that probably created that cloud that was in that picture. We're watching this very closely. We can look at the camera here in Glen Heights. Things have generally calmed down there. Looks like there may be some winds going on. But as far as southern Dallas County, I am watching this little hook here. Because if we go forward, you can see it actually wrap up. You see, this is back where, let's see if we can get there. This is the point where the supposedly a developing tornado was pictured by on I-35, a TxDOT camera, and I think it was and I know you see a little tail here, but that's just not enough structural support from what I can tell and from what I looked at. But I did see other pictures and videos of the shelf cloud proceeding those straight line winds that came out of that downburst. I think that's what we're looking at. Now, if we go forward here, you look at this here, and then you can see it start to wrap up a little bit. So I think that's where we're looking at possibly some rotation now. This is going to be in kind of the Lancaster-Wilmer area north of Ferris. Again, not seeing any kind of concern there. Somebody reporting sirens in Red Oak. That's probably going to be for the severe thunderstorm warning. Now, and as somebody pointed out on YouTube, I believe that was Chris Andrade, those sirens sometimes sound for severe thunderstorm warnings. So 1.5 inch hail, that's ping pong size hail and 65 miles per hour. When you start to escalate those severe thunderstorm warnings, at times you are going to get those sirens going off. So that does not specifically mean a tornado. I will say in the Lancaster-Wilmer area right now, though, the winds are picking up from what I can tell. So that is a matter of concern. Something else I'm noticing too is some winds picking up in the Venus area. So you may have a bit of an increase in winds, probably straight line winds there. But this storm in southeastern Dallas County, far northern Ellis County, is definitely increasing in intensity. Okay, so we're hearing Okay, so I'm hearing that there are sirens in northern Ellis County and southeastern Dallas County. So that's probably going to be for this storm. Let's look at this warning. Again, we have inch and a half hail possible, 65-mile-per-hour winds. So I suspect those sirens are being sounded right now. They are not just for tornadoes anymore. That's one of those kind of confusing pieces of information. And John, I apologize if it's hard to see the pointer there, but I'm trying to narrate as well. So even if you can't see it, you can hear what I'm talking about. Um, hey, at least you don't have me in the way of the radar anymore, right? But what we're seeing in that area, we are seeing winds picking up north of Ferris near Wilmer. So that's where we've been watching kind of that hook developing. But the severe thunderstorm warning itself, those municipalities, I think, prompted those sirens because you're in a warning where inch and a half hail is possible. That's ping pong sized hail. That's getting beyond that baseline criteria for a severe thunderstorm. So when you escalate that, a lot of these areas, and this is actually going back off of it's the criteria set by the North Central Texas Council of Governments. It's a mouthful, but they set these criteria, or really these guidelines. I mean, they weren't required of anybody, where they start sounding these sirens for those escalated severe thunderstorm warnings. Again, the cool thing is you get those escalated warnings through weather call. So we've talked about weather call a few times tonight. If you're subscribed to weather call and you're in that warning, then you would have gotten a call from me saying, hey, this warning is in place, and any other kind of details. I'm going to put the link for weather call in the comments there, so that you have an opportunity to sign up for that if you haven't already. Been getting a lot of renewals too. A lot of folks like this service. Just $15 a year. They're willing to pay that again to get through the springtime. So I greatly appreciate those who have renewed that, because that helps me know that the folks who follow this page are informed about what is going on. So sirens sounding, outdoor warning sirens. Again, they're not tornado sirens exclusively anymore, but I'm hearing that there are outdoor warning sirens that are sounding in northern Ellis County and southeastern Dallas County for this severe thunderstorm warning. The hail threat is increasing with this storm. If we take a look, there's your hail core. Definitely looking at the increased hail threat there. The warning lists ping pong sized hail as a concern. So moving right into the Wilmer area. Oh, come on, don't do that. All right, so moving right into the Wilmer area there. We see increased winds there too. We've been watching some possible rotation there. The rotation still looks broad to me. I'm not seeing anything that gives me too much to go off of in terms of anything too concerned. I mean, we still have that hook feature there, right? And this is, I mean, we talked about this is a supercell thunderstorm. But we are looking at the winds of 65 or so miles per hour, but the ping pong size hail is going to be the greatest threat in that area. I'll also say too, again, you're looking at this flash flood warning, considerable damage threat on that. Flash flood observed. Two very important components to this flash flood warning. It is reported by emergency management. So if you're in Cedar Hill, DeSoto, Duncanville, be very, very careful of that flood threat. Do not go on any flooded roadways. And if you're in a flood-prone area, take necessary precautions. You have to be careful here. You still have lots of heavy rain, lightning going on, so don't spend a lot of time outside if you can avoid that. But it is definitely worth paying attention to in that area, because that flood threat can be very, very serious very fast. That does include 35. Okay, so here's Dallas. If I put the roads up here, it makes the town names really tiny, and people don't like that. So I want to make sure the town names are here at least. But that includes, I mean, you track 35 here. That is included in that flash flood warning, that catastrophic warning. So just be very, very careful if you are on the road. Okay, I'm just going back through a few comments. Lauren, I appreciate your testimonial on weather call there. A great great bit of information. I see somebody asking for that weather call link. So I'm going to put the link to weather call. Ariel, there you go. That is back in the comments there. Okay. So let's go out and kind of broaden this out because we've got more activity developing here down in our core area, right there in Johnson County. More activity. Eastern Johnson County. This storm going to be moving into the Midlothian area. This is going to be another hail producer here, probably small hail, south of Alvarado, southeast of Cleburne. That storm may be severe warned before too long. So that's moving on to the northeast, going to be moving towards the Grandview area. I need to catch up here. Thank you so much, Wanda and Martin, for the Cash App notes there. Greatly appreciated. Over to in the Somerville, Hood, Johnson County area, western Johnson County, another storm. That one could be producing some small hail. Christina, no tornado threat in Red Oak. Unfortunately, I think that was erroneous information, at least from what I could see. More heavy activity back in Erath County. That's going to be headed our way. So we've had a fairly calm night in the core part of our area, but now we have more of that activity developing. So from Midlothian down towards Grandview here, over towards Glen Rose, down on to Stephenville, down to Comanche. So you can see all of this area is filling in here, and we're going to see more of these storms throughout the night. That severe thunderstorm watch continues until 11 p.m., but it only includes Hood, Somerville, Johnson, Ellis, Kaufman counties on up into the Metroplex, really on up to Arkansas at this point. Shalom, Picard. Anything I should be worried about in Italy? Nothing headed to Italy right now. May have been some rain there a short time ago, but nothing major headed that direction. And I'm just following Amy. Thank you so much for the Venmo. Greatly appreciated there. So we need to zoom back in on this storm in Dallas County. So just north of Ferris there, again, you see that curvature there. I'm seeing signs of broad rotation, but I don't see anything that has me immediately concerned. And Tiffany, I see your picture there. I think that's going to be scud clouds that were feeding up into the storm. I don't think that's anything concerning. I see what you're looking at. Tiffany, easily, you sent that picture. I see what you're looking at, but again, I think that's really, it almost looks like smoke from the factories there. I don't know where that is located. I don't know if you said where that is. So probably the Red Oak area. But yeah, I don't think we're looking at a tornado in that picture. It's these, especially when you're looking at night, you get 1 second where that lightning is, and it's really hard to know what you're looking at. But the good news is I'm not really seeing anything that has me too concerned. Some gusty winds headed into the Midlothian area right now. I've been watching that too. And let's just look at the velocity here very quickly. First of all, in the Ferris area, you could have some broad rotation here. We're getting farther away from the radar, which means we're looking higher up in the storm. When you have rotation in the higher levels of the storm, it's hard to know if that's translating closer to the surface. But right now, I'm not immediately concerned about a tornado threat or anything like that with that storm. It is worth watching. But here in Venus, moving towards Midlothian, you see that red growing there. Not a tornado threat, but that's going to be, that bow shape tells me there's some straight line winds maybe with that storm. And that storm has been intensifying there. So I think we're going to be seeing some gusty winds moving into the Midlothian area right now. That storm is not presently severe. Blake, Moody, hail worries in Granbury. Not at the moment. Everything is south and east of there. Nothing headed to Corsicana right now. Let me just kind of broaden this out, and I'll put this in motion. I'm going to make sure, I need to make sure to check something here. Just give me one moment. Because I know that I want to make sure I monitor that post. Okay. Yeah, that again, that post is going to make the rounds quite a lot. Um, but just know that if you see the post about a possible tornado in Red Oak, I didn't see anything to substantiate that. So I'm not concerned about that. That picture, I think, is showing something else. I don't think that's a tornado that you're seeing there. Um, Again, when you're looking at lightning, you get one snapshot of a cloud. I mean, you can't tell anything with that. So, not concerned there. But I mean, it got the shares he wanted. So there is that. Yeah, we did have those sirens earlier for this warning. If you look at that warning, that ping pong sized hail, 1.5 inch diameter hail, that's what that was for. New severe thunderstorm warning just issued for parts of Johnson and Ellis counties here. That is going to be a baseline. Let's see. Yeah, $half size hail, 60 mph winds. I am losing track here. Thank you so much to Nicole for the Cash App donation there. Thank you, Dustin and Rachel, for the Venmo donations. Greatly appreciate that. So, new severe thunderstorm warning just issued here in Ellis County. Now, you can see this interestingly shaped one here. I think there's a couple of things that are included with that. If we look at the velocity first, again, we talked about some of those gusty winds. You can see some gusty winds maybe here in the Cleburne area too, but I think this is more of a hail threat. So yes, just northeast of Rio Vista and just north of Midlothian, a couple of hail cores there. The one near Rio Vista, definitely the more intense there. Let's see. Christina, the sirens went off for a severe thunderstorm warning with ping pong sized hail. It was not a tornado. Those sirens are for more than tornadoes now. Waxahachie decided to test at least one of the sirens today. It was the one closest to me, ironically enough. I can verify it is audible. It's about 1,000 yards away, and it was still very loud. But north of Ferris, that's where we have the severe thunderstorm warning. That prompted the sirens, I believe. I think that's where that was going, and that's what they kind of pointed to. Emergency management, this just came across. Emergency management is reporting water into apartments near Pleasant Run and Polk there in DeSoto. That's what we've been talking about. That's that flash flood warning right up here. Catastrophic damage possible. You have to take those very, very seriously. But it's a hail threat that prompted this severe thunderstorm warning in parts of Johnson and Ellis counties. $half size hail possible, and that's going to be right here just northeast of Rio Vista. Getting reports of hail in the Midlothian area. That's probably going to be northern Midlothian where we saw that. Yep, so weather call, making the calls now for western Ellis and eastern Johnson counties. So that is the weather call. That is the weather call difference there. I mean, that thing calls you right away. And it's too many to keep up with. I appreciate all of the Dustin, I love the better than Delkus note on the Venmo. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. We just have a different style, right? And this storm here, this is what prompted that severe thunderstorm warning that was likely responsible for the sirens that went off in the Red Oak area. I think over in as far west as DeSoto there, I think in Lancaster. Ping pong sized hail was possible with that. Definitely looking at some of those conditions worsening, I think, with the hail there. I think that may be ramping up again. Trying to check some sources here. I just want to, I'm opening a ton of tabs. I know somebody asked about Heartland. That's going to be near Forney. You do have that storm headed your direction, I believe. Tammy Arnold, good to hear from you. Let me put that weather call link up again. There is that weather call link. You can get signed up for that, and happy to have you on board with that. But this storm headed towards Seagoville and on into western portions of Kaufman County. That one looks like the rotation with that is falling apart. I'm not really seeing that now. So there was an erroneous report earlier of a tornado near Red Oak. I know there was a social media page that shared that. I don't think that was accurate. I didn't see anything to substantiate that. So we can kind of calm our nerves there. Okay. Yeah. Again, North Texas Weather Center. That is Max Velocity. That was his first page, I think. Then he went on to start the Max Velocity brand. I think he's in Florida now after having gone to school. Um, but this new severe thunderstorm warning in western Ellis and eastern Johnson counties. Now, this one does not have any kind of the catastrophic tag or anything like that with it. But that is where we're looking at 60-mile-per-hour winds possible and half-dollar sized hail. So that hail now moving towards, really towards the Alvarado and Venus area. So that's moving northeast. So headed towards Alvarado, Venus, eventually Midlothian, Britain, that area. Now, just to kind of give you a broad look here, here's a recap. I know we got a lot of new people that are jumping into the stream. So here's the supercell that prompted this severe thunderstorm warning that originally had the erroneous report of a possible tornado near Red Oak. I didn't see anything to substantiate that. But that storm does have a hail threat, ping pong size hail possible with that storm. I believe that's what actually led to some of those outdoor warning sirens being sounded in northern Ellis and southern Dallas counties. That storm is headed to the east. That severe thunderstorm warning continues. We have the flash flood warning in parts of Dallas County for Cedar Hill, Duncanville, DeSoto. That is, if you take a look here, we'll pull this up again, a considerable damage threat warning. And that is observed flash flooding from emergency management. We had a report earlier of the DeSoto area. Emergency manager reports flash flooding, water into apartments near Pleasant Run and Polk. So that's real impact from the possible, the reported flash flooding there. Going down into Ellis and Johnson counties, we have that new severe thunderstorm warning, of course, and then going farther southeast, we have more development west of Cleburne here. This is going to be parts of Somervell and Hood County, going east of there. Okay, and we have in southern Dallas County near Cedar Hill, multiple ongoing water rescues at High Point Lane and Brookside Drive there in Cedar Hill. That is per the emergency management there, the emergency manager there in Dallas County. So this storm is going to be the next up. That looks like that is an increasing hail threat there. Farther southwest in Erath County, more storms having developed. And then as we go forward, you see more development here in Denton County, northern Tarrant County. So that stationary front that has been sitting here just kicking off all of these storms is still going. Cedar Hill Emergency Management reporting multiple cars stranded in water in Cedar Hill near Hillside Village in Uptown. So this flash flood warning we talked about with considerable damage possible, some water rescues going on, multiple vehicles trapped, very, very serious situation in southwest Dallas County. Okay, so hearing just different areas of hail reported. Jasmine, I don't see where you're reporting that hail. You said pea size at best, but I don't know where that is where that is occurring. Folks asking about Ferris. You have the tail end of that storm moving through right now, but that is all the hail threat. Looks like that is staying north of you. And give me 1 second here. Give me 1 second, folks. I'm just checking into our report here. We got more reports coming out of Cedar Hill. Water rescue ongoing in Cedar Hill near Joe Wilson and Beltline area. So really the Cedar Hill area getting A lot of flash flooding causing some major issues there. Multiple reports of water rescues and those kinds of things. Stranded vehicles in that area too. So if you're in the Cedar Hill area, you've got to be very, very careful. Um, all right, so I'm just checking in some other sources here. Shauna, Suburban was just fixed from the Corpus Christi hail. I hate that for you, so I hope you're not getting any new hail damage there. That would be very frustrating for sure. Asking about Sulphur Springs, I mean, that's a little far out of my area, but I can tell you just by looking at it, you could have some storms headed your way in Sulphur Springs. I would be attentive to everything there. Definitely be attentive to that. Julie, map is so tiny it's hard to see. I apologize. There's. I wish I had a perfect. Give me 1 second here. And I've been requested to mention a roofing company. I'm being told that I'll be paid extra if I mention a roofing company. Well, I can't mention the one you're working with because I have an existing agreement with Synergy Roofing, and they're just my personal preference. They've done some really good work, so I thanks, but no can do there. I'm going to keep with our sponsors that support South Metro Weather. Synergy Roofing has been with us for a long time, and I'm always impressed by their work. So happy to stick with the folks that are supporting this brand. And hearing that there was a weather call issue resolved, so glad to hear that. ETA on Milford, nothing headed to Milford right now. Kind of broaden this out so everybody can see. So lots of reports of just different experiences across the area. But I mean, you can see on radar, we have that storm in southeast Dallas County, western Kaufman County right now that supported that severe thunderstorm warning. And then eastern Johnson County, western Ellis County, we are looking at that new severe thunderstorm warning caused by this hail threat from this storm that is south east of Cleburne, south of Alvarado Venus, moving that direction. Now, we have to continue talking about the Cedar Hill, Duncanville, DeSoto area here, even South Dallas. That is where we are looking at multiple flooding issues. We've seen multiple reports from emergency management talking about ongoing water rescues, vehicles that are stuck. I mean, we're talking, there was a report of water in apartments there as well. So a major flooding situation in the Cedar Hill, Duncanville area right now. And that has to be paid very close attention to. Okay. So just kind of looking at radar here, it looks like this storm in southeast Dallas County is weakening. Looks to me like it's losing some steam. So that's some good news. But we do have this storm in southeast Johnson County, headed towards northwestern Ellis County. And Red Oak, you're about to get some heavy rain, but we're watching this severe storm. Looks like that's probably going to stay west of Red Oak, but we'll have to watch and see how it progresses. Not seeing any. If there is any hail headed towards Cedar Hill, it's going to be small. Somebody asking if I use Weather Bell Analytics. I do not. No tornadoes in the Glen Heights Red Oak area. That was an erroneous report from social media. It's, I mean, like I say, that page got the shares out of that post, but unfortunately, it's not an accurate report. So looks like we were tracking some straight line winds there. That created a shelf cloud. I think that's what we were looking at, but it was a post that had one frame of a text dot camera with one lightning flash. It was very unclear exactly what it was looking at, so couldn't really get any good information out of that. So we'll broaden this out again, and you can see area wide what we're looking at here. And of course, north of Fort Worth, more storms developing here. We had this stationary front that has been just giving a lot of lift and has been touching off wave after wave of storms. We have really the strongest storm right now, it looks like, is southeast of Cleburne here. We've also been watching this storm in southeast Dallas County. That one, it did have some rotation with it, but it was after there was a social media post reporting a possible tornado near Red Oak. That was not a substantiated report. I think that was just looking at, I think that was just a it's a quick look at a picture that looked like something, but there was nothing to back that up. So no reports of tornadoes tonight, nothing to support that. Um, I know there's a few folks asking about Midlothian. I am watching that storm in Johnson County to see if that reaches the Midlothian area. You are included in that severe thunderstorm warning right now, so you do want to pay attention to that storm and be prepared for that, as it does appear to be moving your direction. Weather Bell, I've never used Weather Bell Analytics, never heard of it, so I'll have to look at that after the stream tonight. Let's see. Victor, stuff coming through now. What about overnight? So, from what we've been seeing from the models, it looks like around midnight or later, all of this should be clearing out. So the good news is it doesn't look like it's going to be an all night gig, but we will definitely have to keep an eye on that at least through midnight. Dorinda Spectrum News had reported it for Red Oak a little earlier. If you're talking about that report from social media, I don't know why Spectrum News is just going with anything as far as reports for weather, but that was an erroneous social media report of a tornado in the Red Oak area that was not substantiated by anything I could see. So I know there's a lot of interest in this storm here. This is probably the most intense storm we have right now. So let's take another look at that. We have that severe thunderstorm warning that is effective until, what was that, 8:15? Well, let's see. Was that until 8:30? Sometimes they bury that. Yeah, 8:30 p.m. So that storm moving. Where is it? Moving northeast at 10 miles per hour. I don't know about that. Well, I guess that the actual core there isn't moving very quickly, but I would say I think 10 miles per hour is a little slow in terms of that report. But it is moving northeastward. Looks to be around. It's in the Grandview area now. Alvarado around 7:45, and then Venus around 8:15. I don't know about that. I would say around 8 o'clock. Probably for the Venus Alvarado area. That would be my guess in terms of the proximity of that hail core. As far as the Midlothian area, between Midlothian and Lillian there, where that's probably going to move, I would say closer to 8:15 or so. Uh, Somebody asking what happened to Facebook. I don't think anything happened to Facebook. We're good. Give me 1 second here. Okay. Looks like the YouTube chat has some bots going. I apologize for that. Brian had an erroneous report earlier from social media of a tornado, but that's not an issue. Thank you. I appreciate the report of a weather call. Yeah, I think the question I think the question about the Facebook is a bot. I think that's what we're dealing with there. Let me see. Okay. Well, I think the questions about Facebook. I think the questions about Facebook are I think those are. Um, I think there's some bots getting in the YouTube stream there. It is what it is. Um, that happens. But this is what we're looking at area wide here. So just to kind of recap, we've been watching this storm in the southeast Dallas area, northern Ellis County, really northeastern Ellis County at this point. That one, I think, is running out of steam there. I'm watching some of the winds near Seagoville, but as far as the hail core, does not. It does not look like the hail core as intense as it was before. So that's the good news. But still a severe storm there. And I am watching some of the winds in case some of that rotation tries to come back, but I'm not immediately concerned at this moment. But we, in western Ellis County, eastern Johnson County, we have this severe thunderstorm warning, and this storm is kind of starting to move almost due north. So looks like that's headed more towards maybe the Keene area, towards Alvarado, maybe towards Lillian. For that hail core, but not moving very fast. I mean, that, they reported 10 miles per hour. It looks like maybe it's a more consistent, northerly slowing trend. Not sure what's going on there. Doesn't seem to want to move much. But back to the west, we are watching these storms in Hood County. They're in Erath County as well. Looks like those are moving more due north. So I think it looks like we're getting more of a northerly track on these storms. Certainly the one right there on the Somerville, Hood, and Johnson County line. So this is all kind of moving northward now on this western side. So it looks like that will miss much of our area here, which is good news. I mean, we definitely need the rain, but we can do without the severe weather. Okay, I'm just trying to keep up with some of the comments here. But if we zoom this out, something else you notice here, we have easterly motion with these storms on the north side of the Metroplex. So probably still coming off of that stationary front. That's what's been kind of firing off all of these storms, is we're getting more of this activity that's just been blowing up left and right. But I'm noticing now kind of a westerly direction farther south. And right here, you notice that right up there, kind of moving easterly. So I think that might be the front starting to retreat here. You can see that here too. Keith, nothing substantiating a report of a tornado in Red Oak. That was a social media report by the North Texas Weather Center, run by Max Velocity, just strictly judging on, or strictly based on a picture from a TxDOT camera. I didn't see anything on radar that would have substantiated that. So I'm hearing that there might be some YouTube issues, but we're also getting some bots in that YouTube chat. So I frankly can't tell what's hearing some Facebook reports, but the in the YouTube comments, and some of the YouTube comments are bots, so it's hard to tell exactly what's what. So if Facebook is having issues, I apologize. I'm not seeing that on the down detector reports right now, but doesn't mean there isn't something. So you can see just kind of the broad picture here of what we're seeing area wide. We've had a lot of those reports of major flooding issues in parts of Dallas County, southern and southwestern Dallas County, Duncanville, Cedar Hill, and DeSoto areas. Really, most of the reports have come from the Cedar Hill area here from emergency management there in Dallas County. Reports of water in apartments. We've heard reports of vehicle stranded, water rescues, those kinds of things. So mixed reports, some saying, Facebook issue, some saying not. I think we're probably good to go. But as far as what to expect in different parts of the area, this severe thunderstorm warning expires in about 20 minutes here, about 37 minutes for this one here in Ellis and Johnson counties. This storm not moving much. I was doubtful of the 10 mile per hour speed, but man, that thing really hit the brakes as it got heavier. So that's the good news there. Not so good news for the areas there under it, though. That could be a rising flood issue there just east of Cleburne with that storm. Very heavy rain, moving very slowly. I think that might be a developing problem there. This storm in southeast Dallas County seems to be moving slower as well. I feel like it's been sitting in southeast Dallas County forever now. So as these storms slow down, if they continue to slow down, that's going to increase the flood threat. And we've already been talking about all these reports in the Cedar Hill area, the Duncanville area. Okay, so that flash flood warning, this warning here with the observed catastrophic damage has been extended now to 10 p.m. So until 10 p.m. now, this warning extended now. Flash flood observed by emergency management, and that's where we've been getting those reports of, the water rescues and the water in the apartments and all those kinds of things. So all of that is still ongoing as well. Any word of potential flooding in Waxahachie? I mean, I would be surprised if there was flooding in Waxahachie because Waxahachie hasn't had that much rain. I've had 0.04 of an inch, and I'm in the Waxahachie area, so not flooding in Waxahachie wouldn't make much sense. Did anyone in the chat confirm ping pong size hail in Lancaster? Heard it on the radio. So as far as the ping pong size hail in Red Oak, that was what was reported in the warning. That doesn't necessarily mean it happened, but that's what was reported in the warning as possible. So that's the source of that information. Doesn't necessarily mean it happened, but it means that warning was warning of ping pong sized hail, and that's why some of those outdoor warning sirens were sounding. All right, let's see. I'm going to try to reach out to somebody for some more information on some of that flooding. Okay, so on the edge of Ellis County, right off 45, still pretty heavy rain. Was some hail. Yeah, so that's that severe storm, prompted that severe thunderstorm warning in southeast Dallas County. Yeah, so that storm winding down from what I can tell. That's the good news. That one was pretty intense for a while. That again, we had the report of ping pong size hail, or at least that's what the warning reported. That doesn't necessarily mean it happened, but that's what the warning was noting as possible as justification for that. Um, Somebody asking about Ennis flash flooding. Nothing really happening in Ennis. Ennis has had some rain today, but not much. So, not really concerned with the Ennis area right now. What we're seeing here, from what I can tell, is this activity starting to move northward. And what we've been looking at at least in the models, is it showed a northern progression of this activity through the evening. So, pretty consistent with what the models have been showing us today. So, that hopefully is going to be the clouds moving northward here pretty soon, or the storm rather. The severe thunderstorm warning has been trimmed back in parts of Ellis County. So they're just eastern Johnson County is now, this storm is moving due north. So that relieves the severe weather threat for western Ellis County. It's just eastern Ellis County. All right, so that is the good news here. Western Ellis County released from that severe thunderstorm warning because that storm is staying in eastern Johnson County. The problem is the flash flood threat east of Cleburne is increasing because this storm is moving so slow. Nothing headed to Whitney right now. I mean, I can zoom that out. Nothing headed to Whitney at this time. So not really concerned there. But this is what we're looking at here, folks. The storm in southeast Dallas County is just kind of sitting there at this point. So the flood threat is increasing there. Flooding continues. Man, they just cannot get a break there in the Cedar Hill, Duncanville area. Multiple reports from emergency management there that, I mean, reports of vehicles stranded, reports of water in apartments, those kinds of things. So the flooding is definitely a major threat here. And, earlier today, I thought the flooding would be fairly isolated. But the problem is, I mean, we're looking at an area that has just been getting rain all evening long. So area wide, it is isolated, but man, they just cannot seem to get rid of it. And now that the storms are slowing down, you can have a small storm like this east of Cleburne that can cause a lot of flooding problems because it's moving so slow. All right, so Bailey, once again, we've been talking about this quite a bit tonight. No tornado reported in Red Oak. Not. I didn't see any confirmation of that. So looked like we had some straight line winds there. So that was one frame of a traffic camera that was probably looking at a shelf cloud or something like that. Oh my word! This is okay. Hold on. I'm gonna have to put something out here. Here we go. Let me just put something out there. Okay, I'm just going to put a post out directly addressing that because I know that it's going to be that question is going to come up over and over again. Um, I'm going to be asking about that for. I'm going to be asked about that a lot. Okay. All right. Let's just get the post out there so that we can hopefully folks will see that, and maybe that can calm some of the concerns out there, because it's just not. Yeah, I'm gonna get that. I'm gonna get that sent to me a lot. I've got some pictures here of the flooding in the Cedar Hill area, just some street flooding. There's been multiple reports from emergency management in the Cedar Hill area of um, continued issues. I mean, very, very dangerous situation in southern Dallas County. The good news is that the rain should be letting up fairly soon in the Cedar Hill, Duncanville area. I think we finally are starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel. That area has seen so much heavy rain that's just been training over that area tonight. So my heart goes out to them. We've had reports of not only vehicle stranded, high water rescues. We've had reports of water getting into apartments, all that stuff. It's just awful. I mean, I really really hate to hear that, and my prayers go out to them. Um, Justine, it was a loud boom. Then we saw green and the lights cut off. So that sounds like a transformer, and you can have transformers that are blown with straight line winds, and that's what we had. Let's see here. We had reports of straight line winds. In fact, we watched those live there in Glen Heights as those were moving through, right about the time that post was made. And so those can affect the power, cause those power outages in those transformers, those kind of things. So if you got a green flash and the power went out, it sounds like that was a transformer that was blown in that area. Hayden asking, do you think any of this will impact Navarro County? No, not likely. Everything is shifting northward now, so everything is going to be moving out of the South Metro area. Still waiting for relief from the rain in the Cedar Hill, Duncanville area. They need it to stop there. It's been a very, very dangerous situation. So yeah, I'm not seeing a threat for Navarro County at this point. Because you can see if you watch that trend, everything is trending northward at this time. We do have that severe thunderstorm warning that continues for eastern Johnson County, as well as southeast Dallas and northeast Ellis counties, as those storms continue to bring a hail threat. Right now, the winds do not look terribly intense. That storm in southeast Dallas County looks like it has probably weakened quite a bit. Hail sizes, the hail core does not look near as intense, but there is that hail core east of Cleburne that continues. But it looks like that storm might be picking up steam a little bit, might be picking up the pace. That storm that brought the hail is moving towards the Alvarado area, moving towards Venus here, moving towards Lillian. So that storm, capable of producing, I would say, quarter to $half sized hail, still moving northward towards the Alvarado and Lillian areas. Probably stay west of Venus, would be my guess. But the hail core definitely headed towards Alvarado and Lillian at this time. It's going to be moving into the Alvarado. I mean, it's moving into Alvarado now, so you'll have that hail core over you in a short amount of time. Hill County looks like it will probably dodge the storms tonight. Okay. Um, yeah, lots of people talking about that post. Again, I did not see any reason to believe that there was a developing tornado in the Red Oak area earlier tonight. There was some broad rotation east of there, but not. I didn't see anything in the Red Oak area. We did see some straight line winds there for sure, but nothing to make me believe that there was a developing tornado not of that size. Certainly, no structured and intensified rotation. So, yeah, just didn't really see didn't really see that substantiated anywhere. But we'll I'm sure we'll be Nathan. No rotation in Ellis County. Really, not much of anything in Ellis County at this point. We continue to watch all of this activity trending northward. Okay, so that severe thunderstorm warning has expired there for southeast Dallas and northeast Ellis counties there. So that's the good news. That storm has continued to be on a weakening trend. We need the rain to end in southern Dallas County. That's where we've been looking at those reports of major flooding in the Cedar Hill and Duncanville areas. So this storm in eastern Johnson County still has a severe thunderstorm warning associated with it. Let me see. Okay. All right. So just trying to make sure that I'm staying on top of everything. It's been yeah, this everything is trending northward here. And again, the models kind of hinted at this earlier. So as far as our core area, Nicole, I'm not seeing, I'll check on that. Let's see. I'm not seeing signs of rotation in Johnson County right now. I know there's a little bit of a kind of a hook shape with that maybe, but I'm not seeing rotation that substantiates that. So not concerned about that at this point. And as far as Cedar Hill, I'm hoping the rain ends there soon. It should be soon. That little storm that's kind of hanging out there, all of this is trending northward, especially to the west. So as all of this continues to trend northward here, we should begin to see things clearing up very soon in southern Dallas County. Jamie, I believe Waxahachie is clear for the night. I don't see any signs that we would get anything that far south at this point. Everything is trending northward, so I think everything will be continuing that trend. Somebody asking about Arkansas. I'm sorry, I don't cover Arkansas. I just cover north central Texas, so I can't help you there. So I have to. I have to say that that viral post about the possible tornado in Red Oak. Tara, we've been talking about that all night long. No tornadoes, no tornadoes that I could see in Red Oak. So, not concerned about that. The last time that I got a report from that page from the North Texas Weather Center, the last time I got a report from that page of a wall cloud, it was in the Cedar Hill areas a few years ago, and that turned out to be a shelf cloud as well. But he was at a restaurant, I think in another state, and reported that here just based on, I think, a passerby. So I guess that's the second time that's happened. Flash flood warning for southeast Dallas County here. This is probably going to be another one of those. The good news is, okay, this is not one of those escalated flash flood warnings, but it is a flash flood warning. So this is really southern and southeastern Dallas County. You can see here they've been dealing with it all evening long. And just very heavy rain continuing across parts of southeast Dallas County. So if you're in the Seagoville, Lancaster, Wilmer areas, Hutchins, south of Balch Springs, that area, another flash flood warning there. And we've been talking about all of the reports of flooding in Cedar Hill and Duncanville. I believe the rain should be coming to an end here in the next several minutes, here possibly over the next hour or so. I know that the rain needs to stop there. There's been multiple reports from emergency management of the issues there, but I am hopeful that this trend continues, that all of this moves northward, and it pushes all of this out, so that maybe we can finally get away from all of that rain falling in southern Dallas County. Just the unbelievable reports that we've been getting from emergency management there. I mean, it's just wild. Nothing headed to the Rice area. So, I mean, all of the storms now are trending northward. I'll just kind of leave the radar where it is. Farrah, there's not really anything happening in Waxahachie right now. So not anything of concern there. Nothing headed to Waxahachie at this time. Red Oak, you're still close to some of that rain, so you're probably getting some lighter rain, but the heavier activity is lifting northward, so that's trending in the right direction. Araceli, the same thing for Milford as we've said before. There's nothing headed that direction, so I don't expect any storms in the Milford area. This storm in eastern Johnson County here, that looks to be losing some of that intensity. It looks like there's some hail east of Granbury right now in Hood County, south of Crescent. So a bit of a hail threat in that area. The storm in eastern Johnson County looks like that is weakening. So I think we will be looking at an improving situation there in Johnson County. That warning may be allowed to expire early. It's got about 15 minutes left. So we'll see if they cancel that early or if they just kind of let it run through. But the severe weather threat appears to be weakening in eastern Johnson County. Adrian, anything to worry about in Joshua? I don't believe so. Joshua, I mean, you have a storm that is near there. You have some heavy rain, but I'm not seeing a severe weather threat for that area. Not anything imminent, at least. Yeah, not really concerned about anything in the Joshua area at this time. Looking at Johnson County, there's still some rain there, but the severe weather threat, that storm east of Cleburne, is on a weakening trend, and it looks like it's going to continue that way. So that storm probably below severe limits at this point. Lots of lightning and heavy rain with that. The strongest storm right now that I can see is east of Granbury. So this one right here looks like there is a bit of a hail core there. Mike, you're asking about Burnett County. I'm sorry, that's outside of my area. I gotta stay focused on my market here. I cover the areas between Dallas, Fort Worth, and Waco. Yeah, not seeing anything headed towards Maypearl at this point. You may have some rain, may have some lightning and thunder and that kind of thing, but nothing headed to Maypearl at this time. Jill, you're saying there's wind picking up in Bristol with thunder and light rain. So you're hearing thunder from that storm north of you and probably getting some of the wind from there as well. But there's nothing severe headed towards the Bristol Ennis area tonight. So I'm not concerned about that. A report of ping pong ball sized hail earlier this evening in the Rio Vista area. That was about 30 minutes ago. Well, about closer to about 40 minutes ago in the Rio Vista area. Ping pong ball sized hail. So that was that storm that prompted that severe thunderstorm warning that we were looking at there. But the good news is, again, that storm is weakening. So I'm not seeing that same kind of hail threat that we were looking at before. East of Granbury, that's going to be the stronger storm right now. That continues to move northward. But it looks like the rain may finally be coming to an end fairly soon in southern Dallas County. I think this is going to be that last push of heavy rain. The heavier rain is finally moving out of the Cedar Hill area, moving through Duncanville and DeSoto right now. That will continue on to the northeast. And then I think the rain will be trending down in that particular area. That severe storm that moved through that brought that very substantial flooding, prompted that considerable damage threat, flash flood warning that was observed by emergency management. We've had multiple reports tonight of vehicles that were stranded, flooding actually infiltrating into apartment buildings, that kind of thing. So very dangerous situation in parts of Dallas County, that best southwest area. But the good news is the rain is getting ready to trend downward in that particular area. So that is fantastic news for that area. I'm very relieved to hear that conditions are improving in that particular area. So it looks like that storm east of Granbury is weakening as well. So I think all of the storms tonight that are in our area, I think we are on the downslope here. I think we're starting to see all of this activity beginning to wind down, thankfully. And I am optimistic that we will see conditions continue to improve. Give me 1 second here. All right, yeah, I think the severe weather threat, that severe thunderstorm warning has been been canceled early. I think that severe weather threat is reducing here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and wrap up the live stream here. That's going to give me a chance to take a breather and kind of reevaluate things, make sure this northerly trend continues. But stay tuned to South Metro Weather. We'll keep you updated throughout the evening if things change. But for now, everything is beginning to trend northward, moving that threat out of our way. Flooding rain still continue in southern Dallas County, but fortunately that is getting ready to move out of that area. We'll have more updates throughout the evening. Thank you for watching.
A smile upon your face, and I see something shimmering in your eyes. And they say if you want to glimpse the future, you need space. And you said you'll put down your morning guns. Would you follow me to wander? Take my hand and walk beside me in a world of thunder. Fear is an imposter. When you look at me this way, I find it hard to not